In a time of great change, we're all making efforts to become more ethical, more educated people. The Transection podcast interviews guests from many different backgrounds to bring diverse aspects of the human experience to life through humour, authenticity, and personal stories. We are privileged to get a glimpse into other people's realities and to get first-hand advice and information from people on the front line of great social change. I'm Areset Hill, an out and proud trans non-binary person, an inclusive mental health coach and a best-selling author, and this is the Transection podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome back. And today I am joined by Finley Brand. Hey Finley.
Hey Harris, such a pleasure to be here with you. So excited. We've been friends online for about 6 years and now we finally get to hang out.
I know, it's so cool. Most of our friendship up until now has existed on Facebook Messenger, I think.
Yeah. We're
So
Facebook
much.
friends. We're like the legitimate kind though, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're
Well,
always
we
there
used
for
to,
each other.
yeah, we used to co-admin a Facebook group as well, didn't we, for ages?
We did. Oh my gosh. So that's how we met. We had the agender Facebook group and you were like my friend that helped guide me through like my gender journey and like changing my name. We have the same dead name. I remembered that yesterday. I was telling the wife. I was like, "Yeah, Harris and I have the same dead name. It's amazing." We connected immediately. And
I feel like you're the one person who can mention that, and I feel okay to like share that with, because like all the people in my life that I've known in the last, I don't know, 7 years, that I've met in the last 7 years, like nobody knows. So I feel
yeah,
like
that's
you
awesome.
and I have the secret, but it's okay because it's like it's the same for both of us.
Yeah, it's the same kind of torture that our parents put us through. The dreaded name. Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Do-
met through the agender group and then I bailed because I was getting stressed out. Do you know what
yeah.
happened was so the creator of the group ended up bailing on the group and left it to me
And me.
because I was so active. And then I was like, shit, I need help. I can't do this admin shit on my own. And then you and I like started getting closer and closer and you started helping me admin the group. And then I bounced. And I don't even know what happened to it. Does the group still exist?
Yeah, we get new applications every week. Like it's
Wow, it's
steady.
still an active group?
Yeah. I mean, I guess we
Amazing.
don't, it's not as active as it used to be, but we get new. Let me see how many, because I think when we started managing it, it wasn't even at 1,000 yet.
No, it was in the hundreds for sure.
Yeah, so now it's 2.2
Oh
thousand.
my
So we've got
goodness.
2,200 for the agenda group.
And you're still adminning it?
Yeah, I'm the only admin now, and I've like fully taken it on. I've
How
got
do you do
two
that?
I've got two friends who also mod, but it's
Okay.
not as busy as it used to be, to be honest.
It was very active back when we were first on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of it changed because after you left, we had some other admins. There was like a bunch of us, all equal, status or whatever. But they weren't doing their jobs. And at one point, there was a big dumpster fire because somebody posted something, shared a lot of personal information, including some really detailed stuff about abuse that they've been through. Like there was
Oh
detailed to the nth
no.
degree. And I was like,
Oh
it, I,
goodness.
I had to put out that fire for 3 days. I had members messaging me saying I'm triggered. I'm now locked myself in my house. I'm freaking out. Like it was really bad. So,
Oh
and
no.
I said to the others, I was like, I can't believe you're this negligent. I said that I said, I know this is a volunteering thing and it's only Facebook, but I said they need to be able to trust that they're in a safe space, and we have a duty of care.
Right, exactly. That Facebook group was like such a beautiful community for us when we first started. I remember like I was so active and so involved and it just felt like a really safe place to just be ourselves when we
Yeah.
were discovering like our gender fuckery, um, for lack of a better word. Um, wow, that group still exists. That's awesome. That used to be a home for us. I mean, I remember going through figuring out what I wanted my name to be. You were one of the first people who I talked to about changing my name, and you and I have a lot of history. It's so
Yeah.
crazy just like sitting here with you. I love it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like I really want to do a road trip around America at some point and like see everybody. It's so odd because I have these
You were
really like
supposed to come visit me in like 2019 and
I
then like you
know.
never came. You lived in like Australia for like a year or something. You didn't even come to see me
No,
in California.
oh, that was a whole other thing. I'm still planning to come, but Australia, it went amazing. Then I went to Bali and then I had a breakdown. And literally since the end of 2019, I've just been slowly recovering. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, one day we'll get you out here to California to hang out.
yeah, 100%, 100%. So you like it's interesting because obviously we've had this like really long like enduring friendship, and on the one hand I kind of beat you to the post when it came to the gender stuff, just but then you for me are like my person that I go to when I'm talking about relationships and unconventional relationships, because you've got a lot more experience in that world than I do, and I
Yeah.
wanted
I don't know if that's a good thing.
it is of course it's good. I mean, not every relationship ends in a wedding or various other things, but I think experience is super valuable. Like if you hadn't
Yeah.
gone through what you've gone through, I wouldn't know a lot of the things that I know. Like I've learned a lot from you as well.
Oh, oh my gosh, my heart. Oh, I love you. Yeah, you and I have had a very interesting journey on our own, individual lives with relationships throughout the time we've known each other. And I feel like we've both had so many ups and downs and so many just wild experiences that we've both had. I don't think it's just me that's had all these relationship experiences. I mean, I may be the one who's like officially polyamorous, but like I feel like you've been through a lot with relationships too in the past
Yeah,
few years since we've known each other. So I
yeah,
don't know that I would call myself an expert, but I definitely am someone who has knowledge and experience to speak about untraditional relationships for sure.
yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the reasons that I thought you would be amazing to interview for the audience and also just for me and my entertainment
Yeah.
is because you're polyamorous and you have been for some years, right? How long's it been?
Yeah, so I'm 33 now. And my first poly relationship I was 23. So that's 10 years of solid poly.
Wow.
In 10 years of growing experiences. I'm still learning things like, I'm married now with my wife, and she and I were still polyamorous, but it's been interesting because of COVID. We haven't really had other partners as much because we got together in 2019. We were only together 4 months before COVID hit. So we had 4 months to establish our relationship, and then the world went to hell, and we weren't dating for the longest time, obviously. So it's been kind of interesting being married and also exploring polyamory. It's actually it's a point of topic of conversation between my wife and I as well. We've been talking about actually how we have like different perspectives on what it means to be polyamorous and be married. So that's kind of something we've been navigating, like how to fulfill both of our needs and but still respect each other's boundaries. So needs and boundaries are like the two most important things in poly other than time and energy. It's time and energy and needs and boundaries. Um, I feel like those are the biggest key points there.
Yeah, that's cool. Can you give us some examples of how those dynamics or those factors like play into how you manage things?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be a little cautious and not talk too personally about things, but because we're currently navigating through some challenges with Polly in our relationship. And I don't want one of us to look one way or the other, but essentially one of us kind of has the perspective of I only want to date if it's someone who could be worthy of being a life partner one day. And the other one of us is like, I just love people and I want to be around people and date people and that's fun. And like, it doesn't matter if they're not around for a lifetime as long as they make positive impacts in whatever temporary amount of time they are in our lives. I don't think things ending has to be a bad thing.
Mm.
And there's a lot of trauma and fear that goes into um some of our experiences as well with how we open up to new people and um how welcoming we are to new things and new people that could potentially hurt us in the long run, but it's just a matter of communication and walking through it together with our hands tied.
Mm.
So it's
Yeah.
complicated. It's poly is never easy. It's not for the weak. It's not for the lazy. Sorry, I shouldn't say lazy. That's an ableist term. I hate that term. But poly is it's a lot of work, and no matter how established you are in a relationship, like we're married and we're still having discussions about what it means to us and how we want to see ourselves grow in the future while being polyamorous and married.
Mm. Yeah, it's really interesting because I think from a sort of mainstream society point of view, the second that you mention anything to do with having multiple relationships,
Yeah.
like the number one thing is people go,
Oh, you're
oh, but
cheating.
yeah, like, well, that, but also like the whole, oh, I would be so, I couldn't do it. I'd be so jealous. I'd be so jealous. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's the other one.
yes, but I mean, you can get over something like that with, it's all the other stuff, right? It's the logistics. It's, most people have to still have a job and still have a house to run. And like, how do you navigate splitting your time? If you're neurodivergent or disabled and you have
Hmm.
very limited energy in the first place, obviously priority comes with kind of survival before it then goes to like dating and having fun, and
Hmm.
not that the two are like mutually exclusive.
Right, now I see your point. Definitely that's something we've come across in our relationship is, Britt and I, the wife, we're both autistic and both disabled in our own ways for sure. And so obviously time and energy are one of the biggest considerations that we have to figure out when we're dating and navigating new people in our lives. Excuse me. But it's interesting because I am like one of those people, like one of those neurodivergents who loves being around other people. I thrive off of other people's energies. Like sitting here talking to you, I am energized. Like this is how I love living. I am a social human, forget the stereotypes of autism. Like I love people. And so for me, I'm like a people collector and she's like a people shover awayer. So
She's like, I need
um,
less people. I need less people.
she needs less people and more like alone time to take care of her needs. And I'm like, I need people 24/7. So it's definitely a challenge navigating just our different needs too, as well as how that interacts with us being autistic. And um, I don't know, it's all kind of like confusing and like we, can sit and talk about it, but at that end of the day, like I don't know, we just do what works, and if it doesn't work, then we say oops and move on. But there was something I was gonna say with you had said something that made me think about something I wanted to say, and now I don't remember. So that's
I
cool.
have that all the time.
Yeah, I don't know.
We were talking
Oh,
about jealousy.
jealousy.
Yeah.
Jealousy. Oh, yes, jealousy. So, okay, well, here, the first reactions I get from people when I say I'm poly, usually the biggest one is jealousy. You were totally right about that. So, usually jealousy. But I also hear, oh, isn't that kind of like cheating? And I'm like, no, for many reasons. And then the other one is, oh, that just sounds like too much work. And that's True.
No
It is too
argument.
much work, but it's worth it at the end, you know?
Yeah, that was gonna be one of my questions, because obviously, a lot of things that are worth it are difficult,
Yeah.
but there
Yeah.
must be, and people, I think their first reactions to the idea of polyamory is generally quite negative, even if people aren't criticizing it, rather than criticizing themselves or saying like, I don't know if I
Mm.
could handle it, like I don't know if I could manage it. It's more like a self-doubt thing. But obviously
Yeah.
there's a huge amount that you get out of it that's like really positive. Otherwise you wouldn't do it at all, right?
Exactly. Like the benefits outweigh the costs,
What are the
you
benefits for
know?
you?
Oh my gosh, endless benefits. I mean, obviously the first one is just that, like I said, I do get energized by spending time with other people. That's what fulfills me. That's what satisfies my brain is having discussions with people that go beyond the boundary of casual conversation, and generally you have those types of conversations with people you're dating or like something like that. So like being able to have a bigger circle of people that I can talk to about the difficult stuff, about the emotional stuff, and not only talk to about them, but getting that emotional support, that emotional feedback from other sources. You know, I I feel like one of the really difficult things about people who are in monogamous relationships is you only have one source of emotional care and support. You may have your family, but in terms of partnerships, you have one person to put all of that weight on. And with, my wife and I, we're both autistic, we both have emotional disorders. We both have a lot of mental health challenges. And so for us, one of the benefits is being able to spread out our emotional needs um to multiple people. So it's not like, hey, I know you're not doing well, let me put all this shit on you. It's like, hey, I know you're not doing well, I'm feeling this, and maybe I'll go talk to so and so about this part, to not put that on your shoulders. Um, so spreading out like emotional needs and emotional stuff like that. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know
Yeah.
what to say. That's a huge benefit for me. Also attention, like I'm someone who needs a lot of attention. And like I know that, and it's funny, I have to laugh about it. So like when the wife is like in video game land, I'm like texting someone else, and it doesn't have to be creepy or bad. It's just like someone else who cares about me wants to spend time with me. And like, if I'm not wanting downtime at that moment, I can reach out to someone else, and I can get those needs met, if my wife isn't able to fulfill them. So it's also about getting needs met. Expecting one person to fulfill all your needs is absurd and abusive, because it's just not possible. Like we have so many needs as individual humans, like we're complicated beings that like it's gonna take more than one person to fulfill your needs no matter what. And whether you feel that with friends, you feel that with family, I feel it with people I date. um I would say those are some of the bigger benefits for sure. Is
Hmm.
just a bigger emotional support network, getting your needs met, and just learning new perspectives too. Like, I'm a creative writer, and I would like to consider myself a storyteller in some ways. Um, that's probably giving myself too much credit, but but it's also learning different people's stories and what their traumas are and what their backgrounds are, and it broadens your world experience.
Mm.
So there's some pretty cool benefits.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so interesting that the kind of depth that you go into with the emotional needs and stuff like that, because I don't know if you get this with polyamory, because obviously I've not been like in an openly polyamorous kind of situation exactly before. So I'm just going off of like things that I hear people say about the LGBTQ plus community, in that the
Mhm.
moment that there's a different relationship dynamic or a different gender identity, or anything like that, a lot of people go straight to the sex thing. It's either like,
Yes.
how do you have sex? Or it's like, oh, well, you obviously want to be a different gender, or imagine that you're a different gender for a kinky reason. And it's like, no, I genuinely just want to go to the shops and buy orange juice as myself. And then is it the same with polyamory, that people can like go straight to the, oh, you just want to smash everybody?
Yeah, everyone assumes it's just about sex, and I'm like, bro, I'm demisexual. Like, I barely even have sex at this point in my life. Like, yay for us. Yesterday, my wife and I had sex, and it was amazing. But it's been months. Like, let me tell you, I do not have sex that often for a multitude of reasons. You know, recently it's been like autistic sensory issues, actually. I'm actually seeing a sex therapist as well right now, to work on those challenges. And it's so funny that people think poly is just about like fucking as many people as you can. Like, have sex with this person, this person, this person. Oh, you're poly, cool. That means you can have sex with whoever you like. Like, no, 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 no. We still have relationship agreements. We still have boundaries. Which honestly is the biggest thing in poly to make a relationship work is boundaries. You know, making sure that no one's limits are pushed or exceeded. And like some of our relationship boundaries are things like, you know, before you have sex with another person, we need to have like a real big discussion about it. You can't just go messing around with other people. It's not like that, you know, that if you did that, then that would be cheating in polyamory. You know what I mean? Like, you can still be polyamorous and cheat. It's if you break your relationship agreements, then you're cheating. And every poly relationship has some sort of set boundaries or relationship agreements. And yeah, no, I don't just go around having sex with people. That's like the last thing I want. I want intelligent, emotional, meaningful connections with people. For me, the very last thing it's about is sex.
That's cool. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
also think like, maybe when you're in your 20s and you like have a high sex drive or something. But I'll be 35 in the new year, and I don't have the same energy that I used to have, despite the fact,
It's
despite
true. We get so old and tired so quickly. It's so
well,
funny.
it's like, I've even started testosterone this year.
I know. I'm so
And a lot
excited.
and a lot of people have been like, oh well, when you, I mean, granted it's only a low dose, but it's made it, chemically, from my test results, it's making a significant difference.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, loads of people are like, listen, man, like in the first few days of taking it, you're gonna be like really horny. You're gonna want to like
Yeah.
shag the air. You're gonna want to shag everything that moves. All of this sort of thing. And on the second day, I got what I can only describe as a boner. Obviously, nothing to see, but that's how it felt. It
Yeah.
was so
Yeah.
hilarious. It took me half an hour to realize what the sensation was and where it was coming from. I
I
was
love
just sat there
that.
like, something is happening, but I don't know what it is or
Yeah.
where it is. But yeah, and that was all that happened. So I was like, oh, I
Like
don't.
once?
Yeah,
Only
that was
once.
it.
Wow.
And other than that,
Interesting.
it hasn't affected libido or anything else. And I'm like, maybe it would have been different if I was 18 and transitioning. But
You know, that makes me curious because actually, so not a lot of people know this about Brit. She actually transitioned for a while, and was on testosterone,
mhm.
and going by a different name and everything. She's not a cis female. So she's AFAB, but she was transmasculine for a while and was transitioning. And she said there were like three big things that happened. No, four. Okay, so hair. She got really hairy.
Yeah.
She got really aggressive and angry.
Oh.
She got really horny, and her clit grew. It is It hasn't gone back. I love it. It's beautiful. Um, but yeah, so those are like the four things that she told me testosterone did to her. And her gender identity, she's agender demigirl now, and pronouns are she they. Obviously my pronouns are they them. But
Hmm.
yeah, she actually had done testosterone. She was only on it for a few months, and she was like, this is not for me.
Okay.
um so actually, I would love for you to talk to her about like her gender journey, because I think that'd be really interesting for you two to talk about, because obviously I haven't taken testosterone before. I've always kind of questioned it, like low dose. Like there's benefits for sure that I would want out of it, but at the end of the day, I don't really want to change my body. So
Mm, that's fair
yeah.
enough. Yeah, I think I've come to the conclusion in recent years that my image of myself is very much of a grown-up boy
Yeah.
in terms of aesthetic, and then but yeah, my identity is still genderless, but in terms of what it looks like and how it feels,
Yeah.
yeah, it's weird. I don't understand how you can be both, but you are. I've got loads of friends who are like, I'm a genderless woman, like I'm an agender woman, or um, people who say I'm a non-binary man and stuff like that. And obviously I totally believe them. I'm like, that's cool, but I didn't get it. And then recently I've started to think, oh, I think maybe I do get it a bit.
It's interesting. I've actually been having a weird gender journey recently. I've been opening myself up to the more feminine stuff, and exploring what it might mean to be demigirl instead of agender. And it's so funny because when you realize you're agender, and when you realize you're non-binary and everything, you try so hard to get away from your assigned gender at birth.
Mm,
You run from it, you run to the hills, like want nothing to do with being AFAB. Um, but it's so funny how with, I don't know, I don't want to say time, but with becoming more comfortable with myself as I am, I'm more open to exploring what it can mean to even be slightly feminine.
hmm.
Because I'd run away from that for so long. And
I
it's
get
funny
that.
because I'm totally feminine presenting all the time. I love dresses. Like I'm totally feminine presenting, other than my hair, maybe, but because I shave both sides now, and I got the little doo-doo. But I've been exploring what that means. And
Mm,
gender is so weird. It's consistently, I think, growing and expanding and fluid, and depending on how you feel every minute of every day, it's a little bit different, I think. I don't think gender has to be one identity for yourself. I think it could be just how you feel in the moment, maybe.
mm.
I'm learning that it's not as rigid as I thought it once was.
Yeah, for sure. I relate to what you were saying about the femininity. I mean, I had to have a whole year of abandoning everything to give myself time to come back to it fresh and
Hmm.
see if I really felt a pull to it, or if it really wasn't for me. So for like a whole year, I put my all of my dresses and skirts and stuff in a different wardrobe in the house because I was starting to get sick of looking at it. I felt it made me feel
Uh,
weird every time I
yeah.
opened my wardrobe door. I'd be like, "Ugh, it's there again." So I took them out, but I wasn't ready to throw them away. So I put them all in an empty wardrobe in another room in the house. So I didn't have to look at it. And I gave
Hmm.
myself a year to leave it there. And if after a year I hadn't touched them, I would then feel safe to throw them away and fully commit to not doing dresses and skirts. And during that year, I also kind of pretty much stopped wearing makeup, which is, I've always worn makeup.
I was gonna say, you used to be a makeup artist, didn't
Yeah.
you? Like, you
this
used to be
this
like,
was happening whilst I was a makeup artist as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So and I gave up doing my nails. I've always, always worn nail varnish and
Hmm.
wanted to. I gave up all of this stuff. And after a year, I came back and I realized that actually I do still love makeup and I do still love
Hmm.
coloring my hair. And I realized that I like to dress fairly masculinely, like casual, but masculinely. But I don't like boys' pants underwear.
Mm-mm. No, they're so uncomfortable.
They're so ugly.
They're ugly, they're uncomfortable. Like, unless I
Yeah,
changed my body, no.
no. So I've
I
come back.
got a lot of curves on this body.
I mean, but yeah, I also am packing in the back. I've tried boxers that were big enough to fit my butt in, but it was just it fit all wrong. It was like tight on the bum and baggy on the crotch and tight on the thighs because I got some of
Yeah,
those
the
as well.
thighs get really tight.
And I was like, no, and it's just ugly. Like I still like lacy and attractive, or maybe even boyish, like boy shorts.
Yeah, there's cute boy shorts out there. Like I have like lacy undies, but they're like boy short style.
Yeah.
They're really cute. Like I still like lace on my body. I'm a hot bitch. Like let's lace that shit up.
I love it.
But like actually, so speaking of the gender stuff, actually, and I know I was telling you, I've been starting to engage in a little bit of pet play in the kink world. Actually, so that's helping me discover kind of my feelings about gender recently because the character, the pet that I play as, is using she they pronouns, and they she they are feminine and partly female, and so it's been kind of an interesting way to like kind of let myself safely explore gender a little bit, where I'm not fully committing to she they, and where I'm not fully committing to the idea of what it means to be part female or a demigirl or in any kind of way. Not having to commit fully to that and still letting myself kind of explore it safely in this world where you can be whoever you want to be. That's been really cool, actually.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's good to like you say, continually keep your mind open. But also I'm really interested in the pet play thing because I was before we started recording today, Finley, you mentioned that you are playing with pet play. And
Mhm.
then also I mentioned that this year is the first year of my life that I've intentionally embraced kink and like gone for it. So I wondered if you were happy to like share a bit about what it means to what pet play is about and like how long you've been doing it and stuff.
Yeah, totally happy to talk about that. I think the more people talk about it openly, the better it is for the world because it's seen as this taboo thing, like, and people have their judgments about it, and even I did too before I started exploring it. I had my own personal judgments about what pet play was, and um it's so funny when you're in the world of kink because there's still taboos within the taboo of kink. Like you could be in the world of kink, you could be in the community, in the scene, and there's still people who will look at you funny when you say like you're into age play or pet play. Like those are things that are still looked down upon in that world, which is really interesting. And so I did have my own personal judgments, but it was kind of an easier transition because I have come from age play, which is a whole nother conversation, but we can have that one too. Um, the age play and pet play is kind of similar. So for people who don't know what pet play is, imagine a human pet. So I role play as a pet. My exact animal identity is that I am a kitty, a lemon shark, and a fairy dragon all combined in one.
Okay.
I have an image. I'll have to show you the picture. I actually drew out what this character looks like. And here I am playing with my collar now because I'm talking about it. Um, so I actually have a name in pet play that is not Finley. I like to add new names to new um like role play identities that I have. So my pet play name is Neo, Neo. Middle name Anna, Ana. So Neo Anna. Um, there's a whole story behind even the name, but so pet play is basically, I role play as a kitty shark fairy dragon. Um, we'll shorten it to kitty for short, but um, so yeah, it's kind of like um it's hard to explain to someone who's never experienced having like a different headspace before. So like I don't want to compare it to like being on drugs, but you know how like when you're on drugs, like if you're high or something, like your head kind of works a little differently. You see things from a different perspective. Um, so when you role play in kink, whether it's pet play or age play or any other kind of play, medical play, any kind of role play, you kind of go into this headspace where you take on this personality or this these traits of another type of character, and in this case it's an animal. Back to pet play. So like you take on this different headspace and you see the world through a different lens, and it's one that can be fueled by childhood like innocence, which goes with like pets. Like pets have this innocence to them that they're just good little pets that you want to take care of and just be good little creatures. um and it's it's cozy and it's home, and when you have like a handler who's like your caregiver, um like they're nurturing and it makes you feel comfortable and safe, in a fun way. Like it's fun to be in knee pads on all fours, wagging my butt because I got a tail on, like just hanging out and getting pets. Like
Yeah.
it's the most amazing feeling.
So is this
Um,
basically like an adult version of like how you would pretend when you're a kid?
yeah. And like here's the thing, like it doesn't have to be sexual. Like so in the kink world, there's a common misconception that people who are not in that world don't understand, and that's that kink does not equal sex. Um, Kink is kind of an umbrella term for alternative experiences in life where you take on certain roles, whether they be temporary or 24/7 dynamics, and kink does not have to include sex. It does not at all. In age play, as a little myself, I am non-sexual. In pet play as a kitty, I'm slightly sexual. I'm kind of exploring that still. So it's interesting. There's definitely a common misconception about what it all means. And to me, the biggest thing that kink means is psychological fulfillment and processing. It's a type of therapy for me.
Hmm.
Um, which a lot of people don't talk about. Like if you are in the kink community, 9 times out of 10, the other person you're talking to has trauma.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of people in the community use kink as a form of therapy and as a form of, processing through trauma or reliving trauma in a safe environment. It's very interesting. It's very interesting, especially with role play. So like with age play, pet play,
Hmm.
those types of things. It's very common that the person or people involved will have a lot of mental health issues and trauma in their childhood and their past. So,
Mm. So with things like age play, what are the kind of common boundaries that people have around age play to make sure that everyone's safe or that and that it's not kind of because obviously some people have reservations around that. Obviously, I know from speaking to people in the kink community that it's not necessarily sexual at all.
mm.
But I guess for a lot of people who are uninitiated or they've only ever really heard about it a couple of times, like,
Yeah, there's there's a whole group of age players who misrepresent what age play means, and those are the people you see on Instagram. Um, there's this whole representation out there that's not true to what age play really means. And I think it's really easy to have misunderstandings of what age play means, and that it's not. this sexy little 20-year-old girl in a diaper and a onesie, like showing her titties off, you know? Like that's not what age play is. Age play is fat bitches like me who like to be taken care of. Um, you know, like it's so funny because there's such different ways of approaching that world. And you know, one way is not right, one way is not wrong. It's whatever works for the person. But I feel like there's a lot of like, I would say like Instagram influencers or whatever who are portraying it as something that it's not, at the heart of what age play is meant to be.
Mm.
Um, I don't think that answered your question. I think I just went on a rant. What was the main question again?
I think it was just kind of like like how do you do age play in like a wholesome kind of
Yes.
ethical way?
Yes. As well, okay. So the biggest thing to know about age play is that it occurs between two consenting adults. There are no children involved. There's no naughty, yucky anything with anyone who's underage. That is strictly forbidden in this world. That's not what this is about at all. Um, for a lot of people, like I said, it's related to trauma actually. So, you know, like people who like me who were neglected in their childhood, um, you know, you can enjoy the innocent factors of childhood in a safe manner, such
Mm.
as coloring books and watching TV and using a pacifier to soothe yourself. And doing those cute things with a caregiver who nurtures you and takes care of you in a way that maybe your parents didn't when you were younger.
Wow.
And it's really deep shit. And it's not that way for everybody. Some people just think it's cute and fun, like, and that's fine. But for me, it's very heavily psychological. So like Britt, my wife, she and I actually switch in age play. So she's a little and I'm her mommy. And I'm also a little and she's my mommy. And sometimes we just play as littles together and it's like cute little fun. Um, so the dynamic kind of changes. It's different depending on certain things. And in the dynamic where she's a little and I'm her mommy, that is actually a sexual dynamic. Um, and the like just to talk about where that comes from is Britt had an early sexual awakening in her life. She started being very sexual when she was around like almost as early as 12 years old. Not that she was having sex then, but you know, she became highly aware of what that all means at that time. And you know, she's gay, and so she didn't have a lot of like role models who are gay, and like she kind of like the dynamic we have is like me as a mommy kind of teaching her to explore her sexuality. So it's kind of like going back and reliving how that could have been if she had people who understood her. Um, but then adding the sexual element because we're in a relationship, you know. So it's kind of like I teach her things, but then it becomes sexual and fun. It's interesting. It's hard to explain. And me as a little, I'm not sexual. I'm purely a psychological little, where I just enjoy feeling safe. A lot of it is about safety. Um, when you're in a vulnerable headspace, like little space, or pet play, you know, you're very vulnerable, and it's a way to safely explore being vulnerable in an environment where you know you're safe.
Mm.
I could go on about this forever.
Yeah. I get it though. I get it though, because a lot of what you're saying is really, it really echoes a lot of the stuff that I've learned when I trained to be a coach.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff where we talk about timeline, you know, and other things that I've learned about you know, kind of getting into headspaces and kind of going back to the situation that you dealt with at the time that wasn't ideal, and kind of rewriting that story in some way or reliving it in a different way. So when I had my very first lot of treatment for PTSD, which I'd lived with for 20 years, it was quite severe. The way that I had that was that me and my therapist went back to visit my younger self just after the incident. And I had this conversation, this really healing, amazing conversation with this younger version of me. And it's not exactly relevant to what you're saying, but I feel like it's in the
No, but
same,
it is though.
it's in the same ballpark, right? Of it,
It
like
is.
you getting to go back there and righting the wrong and getting
Mhm.
to write a different ending for the story.
Right. And along the same line, it's kind of rewriting yourself as well.
Yeah.
So it's, by exploring those situations, and it's not always literal, like I'm not gonna go back and role play this day of this day in this situation in my life. Like it's not so literal. It's like taking those experiences of what it's like to be at that age and creating it in a safe environment.
Yeah.
But also reinventing yourself, because like I said, with pet play, I have this new identity, Neo, and Neo is feminine, and Neo is um really insecure but growing. And it's kind of interesting how you can make it a reflective process of your own personal growth as well. So
Mm.
it's not just going back to the past, it's also about reinventing yourself for the future, and who you want to be as a person and how you want to explore that. It gives you a safe way to kind of play with that idea, which is what I need right now, because I'm kind of in like a midlife crisis, even though I'm in my 30s. So that's fun. I'm going through a career change and everything. I haven't even told you.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, I'm going through a career change. I'm leaving teaching. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean, you know me, that's all I've ever wanted to do, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'm kind of going through this early midlife crisis of figuring out what my life looks like now and where I want it to go. And it's really interesting to kind of explore that through those kink dynamics of, playing with these idea of what things could look like if I went a certain way or whatever.
That's so cool. Do you have any clues yet about where you want to go?
Yeah, well, career wise, I'm looking more specifically towards like the medical field. Um, I've decided I can't go back to school. I'm way too fucking autistic for that shit. I like I can't even, my whole school journey is just bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. So yeah, no more school for me. I'm pulling that plug. Because I'm technically in a master's program right now, but I'm pulling that plug. I can't do it anymore. It's one of those things where I'm like, fuck this. I'm done. I'm over it. So yeah, I'm looking at like some entry level positions in the medical field that don't require going back to school. So like, patient services or administration type things. I have an interview Friday for a position that is at a mental health residential facility for teenagers and young adults.
Wow.
Uh, so hopefully something falls through. I'm looking frantically and applying for jobs here and there, and even applying for some random like communication style jobs, nonprofit jobs. There's this one job with this advocacy group that's for the advocates for Black LGBT folks. There was another one that's for um like advocating for health services for the youth. There's a couple really cool things out there, and I don't know that I'll be chosen, but it's interesting to kind of explore reinventing myself and what that looks like in my 30s and what that'll look
Mm.
like in the future.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really cool.
It's terrifying.
It
It's
is.
legitimately terrifying, but it's exciting too. It's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. I think reinventing yourself is like, it sounds like such an amazing thing to do, but I don't think it happens overnight. And I think that you have to go
No.
through probably many months and possibly longer of just regularly, just kind of emotionally like pooping your pants with
Yep.
nerves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done that a lot in
That
the
sounds
last few
very
years.
accurate. Like I will literally shit in my pants if this happens. No, I it would not be the first time.
Finley as we draw to a close today, if people want to learn more about polyamory and kink and all of these different things, have you got any? I know that you don't particularly promote yourself on social media, but have you got any recommendations for people?
It's interesting that you say that because I would like to start putting myself out there more. Now that I'm not going to be in the field of education. There was a lot of fear with being open about who I am with being a teacher because there's so many biases and taboos and misunderstandings and people go after teachers in the US for whatever they can, anything and everything. Like you can't even say someone's name wrong without getting in trouble. You know what I mean? So I've really had to actually really protect and hide the things about me that make me such an interesting person and make me unique. And I'd actually really like to start being more open about that. I'm happy to have people follow my pet play Instagram. That's a new platform that I just opened up. There's not really posts on there, but you're welcome to DM me. I would love to talk to whoever wants to engage in conversation with me. I love people. So
Extrovert.
That would be, let me double check my my name on there. and you could put it in the description or whatever.
Yeah.
So that would be at I made it easy. At Neo Kitty Shark. Neo Kitty Kitty Shark SHARK. Neo Kitty Shark.
Nice.
And it's a cute little picture of Neo. And yeah, you can follow me on there. You can DM me. If I don't know. If anyone wants to collaborate on anything, that'd be cool. I'm open to that too. So yeah, that's the best place to find me. In terms of people to follow, like with autism, I really am a huge fan of Neurodivergent Rebel on Facebook. They're amazing. Their name is Lyric. They're a non-binary human who also had a late life diagnosis of autism. Um, they're an amazing resource. They've created a really beautiful community online for a safe haven for autistic folks. They currently live in Colorado. I think they were living in Texas. They're kind of moving around a little bit. So they're interesting. That's really the only person I follow who does like cool advocacy stuff. I'm obviously trying to put myself out there more as well as an advocate. I'd really like to start advocating for polyamory, start advocating for the kink lifestyle, and really being honest and open about what it all means instead of people having their misconceptions and judgments. So anything to do that. But yeah.
Amazing. Thank you
That's what
so
I
much. It's
got.
been so educational today, and thank you for sharing so openly.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving me a platform to speak about these things because most people don't give you the opportunity to do that. So it's really cool that we had this session together, Harris. And
Yeah.
obviously it's such a joy talking to you. We've been friends for so long and I feel like we could talk for another 5 hours and not even have a moment of silence.
You get two sociable autistic people together and they just never shut
Yes.
up, right?
Exactly. Exactly. I'm like, what time is it now? We were supposed to start at 11. It's now 12:46. So, you know.
Yeah. It was good. It was a good go. I was like, oh God, I hope that I can keep this going, because I never want to put the pressure on the guest
Yeah.
to have things
Yeah.
to say, but I think it naturally overran. So that's great.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say like we haven't talked that much over or video or anything, but I feel like I've sent you like video chats, like not video chats, like I have sent you video chats. I've sent you
Hmm.
like video messages and like audio messages. So you at least had some idea that I can hold a conversation, I
Yeah,
think.
likewise.
Yeah, but I understand the concern, like, oh boy, okay, let's see how this goes. But no,
Yeah.
I think this was really great. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. So thank you.
No, thank you. It's been fab. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it or found it insightful, please leave me a review and share it with others. You can find the Transection podcast on social media or go to mooksharrishill.com/transection to sign up to our mailing list. See you next time.